You guys have done some incredible things, built these incredible tree houses. You've built it yourself, you've designed it yourself, you've created it yourself. You have 100% direct bookings. You've been featured in Netflix, Architectural Digest. You've been voted #1 accommodation.
We've left no stone unturned. We're a cliffside mountaintop property, literally above the clouds.
What is it that makes people want to travel from all over the world and spend thousands of dollars to stay in a treehouse?
It's not just a place to stay. It's truly transformative.
Some simple advice is like make the experience so great that people are like, we're definitely doing this again.
It really starts with the individual. Healthy business starts with a healthy business owner. One of our mantras for our business is let's get 1% better every day.
In 3.5 years, we took a $250,000 investment and turned that into a $32 million valuation.
Ooh.
All right, everybody, welcome to For Your Own Good. I am so excited to be talking to Seth and Tori of Bolt Farm Treehouse. You guys have done some incredible things. You're built these incredible tree houses. You've built it yourself, you've designed it yourself, you've created it yourself. You have 100% direct bookings. You've been featured in Netflix, Architectural Digest, Condé Nast Traveler. You've been voted #1 accommodation multiple times, year over year. And you're here at Level Up Your Listing to help teach people how to focus on the one thing in their business that they can do to achieve the most success. And I'm so grateful and feel fortunate that you guys are here talking with us today. And I'm really excited to hear about your success and how you've done it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us on your podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So yeah, we're at Level Up Your Listing and we're in this little room in the back here, getting ready for you guys to go up. But I read something about the both of you that you said creating inspiring environments so that people can be the best version of themselves. Can you tell me why that's important to you and how you've implemented that into your resort?
Yeah, I mean, we're a purpose-driven company, and the thing that fuels us is making an impact on other people and adding value to other people. And so I'm a big believer in environments. Like really the environment that started this our whole story was the treehouse that I built with my dad by hand for our honeymoon and wedding. And it was on that honeymoon that we experienced how much environments shape who we are, who we become. And in some cases, there's, people just need to be in the right environment to have some sort of breakthrough, whatever that might be for them. And so our focus is on strengthening relationships and human connection and couples. I feel like in the age of AI, like the quality of our human connection and especially marriages, families, kids, like there are generational impacts that can happen from a couple spending time in a place that is like designed for them to thrive, so that they can show up better for their kids, they can show up better for their teams and businesses they own, that kind of thing. So there's just a tremendous amount of value, and so we've really gone to we've left no stone unturned to create environments where really the experience unfolds and it happens and everything's curated perfectly for two people. Every amenity, every touch point. We test and experience it for ourselves and have a really high standard for what an unforgettable experience can be. And so that's what we provide.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and you can feel it, that you believe it, and that's exactly what you want to do. And so you built it with your dad, right, for your honeymoon, right? And so what was that experience like for you, Tori, to watch it unfold, or did you even see it? Were you part of the process at all, or?
It was unbelievable. I was not part of the process of building the first one. And it's so funny because even to this day, people will come up to me and say, I love your interior design. You have such an eye. And I'm like, it's all Seth. Like people are so surprised to learn that. So part of the, the special surprise was I couldn't see the treehouse until our wedding day. And so imagine it's the day of my wedding. I'm in my wedding dress and I walk in for the first time, just tears. You could feel and see the love in everything. And it was so incredibly special for us to start there. We started on our wedding day there. We had our first look there. And then we started our lives together there with our honeymoon. And it just makes it so special. And I know that our guests feel the love that I felt when I first walked in that day. And that's what we try to achieve day after day, and just continue to even level it up further than that first day. how can we add different things? And so like, for example, today, when our guests walk in the door, there's music playing. Like it's pretty rare. It doesn't happen anywhere. I've never had that happen for me unless I'm staying up.
I curated the playlist
with the playlist.
I think there's such an opportunity that people have when they're in this business to curate the experience and weave into it the things that they love and like get really hyper focused on creating something that's unique and truly from a competitive standpoint. Like if you don't, you die. Like you can't just have a generic 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it is what it is. And we just bought, the cheap kit of furniture to fill the room. Like it, people can tell.
Yeah. People can see right through it nowadays. Yeah. COVID was one thing. And then people can see your photos. They can see anything and they can tell what kind of experience they're going to have or what thought the host or the owner put into things. Right. And I imagine even your photos, as amazing as they are, they don't really tell the full story. Right. And so do you remember any of the conversations or the words that you guys shared that night on your honeymoon about what you created? Was there anything that sticks out, or even beyond that? Was there a moment after that you kind of looked at each other and were like, wow, like we created something really special here?
Well, at that point we were, this was brand new. Like, I think it was 8 months between like when we had our first date and when we got married. Okay. So like we knew, we were like, yes, we've found our person, and we didn't necessarily have some grand plan to scale this business. Like I knew that I needed a place to recharge my batteries and refill my cup. And so that was what started the process. And then I met Tori while I was building it. And so then, inspired by love, I took it to the highest level I possibly could, bought like this crazy expensive hand-carved bed that was like hand painted. And, really, it was an interesting creative project to be like, how majestic can a treehouse be? And so that's why that first one, I named it the Majestic Treehouse. And it's on the family farm, Bolt Farm, where I grew up. And, we were looking at a blank page, for our lives. Like what, the thing we wrote at the top was anything we want to do, we can do it. And we just spent hours thinking about, what do we want family to look like for us? What do we want work to look like for us? What do we want, fun to look like for us? Where do we want to live? And then just spent time in that space away from all the noise, which I think is part of the magic that we're providing people, even today. And that gave us so much clarity because we had the inspiring environment to and space to be able to zoom in, talk about all these things, and then kind of zoom out and see like, oh wow, what could we do that would accomplish all these goals for our lives? Like we want to live in the most beautiful places in the world. Well, if we just make that part of our business model and find those places,
really easy.
We can live there. Yeah. Okay, that's great.
Yep.
For our family, we want to, recreate the farm, the environment that I grew up in, so that our kids could learn the value of hard work and serving others and what it's like to give. And hospitality is an incredible thing for that. The joy of serving others and how much life that can give you. So,
and keep in mind, at the time, I was working in news.
Yeah.
I was not like already an entrepreneur, or there was no plan to make Bolt Farm our thing, or what we dedicated our lives to. I was working in news. He was traveling, touring with his band, and I realized that the schedules, it was not sustainable. It was, we were ships passing in the night, and we're so close. We really like having common goals, common obstacles. And so we're like, what checks these boxes, everything that Seth is describing, and allows us to do it together? And it was on our honeymoon that we realized everything we were talking about was pointing to Bolt Farm and creating more environments like that so that other people could experience that too.
That's right. There's a book by Rick Rubin called The Creative Act. And he talks about it actually being, it needs to be a selfish act to create first, so that you can then be unselfish and give to others in that way. And the things that you're describing, it's really interesting because I listen to a lot of business books and real estate side, but the way that you describe it, you are a creator, but yet you are talking about the pillars of your life and your business that really are your core values. And how do you create the life that you desire which is what we should all be doing in any of our pursuits. And so you're saying you did that on your honeymoon. Mm-hmm. Those are those conversations you had on your honeymoon.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I actually just referenced that book and that topic to our team at our last offsite event.
Yeah. I believe that we're all creators, right? I came from an engineering background. I was told I was smart. I was good with numbers. I was good with spreadsheets. And the past couple of years, I've been on this sort of creative revolution for myself to go focus really on creating something truly unique, truly special for the reasons that you described. I want people to connect with themselves and have the moments in these tree houses, these parts of nature, right? Free from distractions, no TVs, right? You know, you're going to have your phone, whatever, but I really think we're missing the connection with ourselves and with nature and the elements, and just breaking our mind from the constant dopamine hits, the constant distractions. And we don't have time to have these conversations with the people that we love. We go into bed, we look at our phones, we roll over, and then that might be it. People aren't having the conversations that you guys are talking about, but all it takes is one conversation. It could be one moment in your treehouse that changes people's lives. And I think that's absolutely incredible. So you guys have a 100% direct booking rate, which means that you are not on Airbnb, you're not on VRBO, you're not on these platforms.
Bye-bye.
15%, take it. Yeah. And so, and you're charging on average, I think around $900 a night. And so what is it that makes people want to travel from all over the world and spend thousands of dollars to stay in a treehouse?
That's a great question.
$1 million question.
It's the experience. It's not just a place to stay. It's truly transformative. Just a few recent guests have told me this added 25 years to my marriage. That makes you travel to Whitwell, Tennessee, for an outcome like that. When you're, busy business owners or parents, and you would be shocked how many couples tell me this is our first time away from the kids since we've had kids, 13 years. Wow. And they rediscover their best friend again. And so there's no price you can pay, for that, to reconnect with your person. And so that's what they want. How were we able to do that off the OTAs? It was building trust. And it took a process. It was a process. When we first started, we just had the treehouse that Seth built for our wedding day. Then we put that on Airbnb. And so that was our only way to get out there. But we quickly gained trust through reviews and just the snowball effect. Then, local news outlets are featuring it. And then that turned into BuzzFeed called it the #1 Airbnb in South Carolina. And so when you see that, you have trust, because I think a lot of times people are booking things on Airbnb because they know, hey, if this isn't what it says it is, at least Airbnb is going to help me get my money back, or they're going to take care of me. But when you're confident enough to know, okay, thousands of other people have had an amazing experience, I know I will too, you can do that. And so for us, it was a crossfade where we started building up that trust and collecting bookings through our own website while still being on Airbnb. And as soon as we felt like we could take that away and fully focus on our website, we did, and we haven't looked back.
Yeah. And the other thing to note about that is that you have a 25% return rebook rate, meaning 25% of your guests basically come back and stay with you again.
They do that before they leave.
And they do it before they leave.
They book their next day.
So they come to you or online, they book it before they leave their stay. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, some simple advice is make the experience so great that people are we're definitely doing this again. And then present them with an offer that makes that super approachable and easy to commit to.
So let's break that down though, because I think so many people want that, but they don't understand what it takes. And it feels like too much work for them, or it feels like too hard for them, or they got a regular job and they can't dedicate the time. What do you say to people that are it's too much work, or I can't do it, or I don't know how?
Quit. I'm just kidding. I think it requires an obsession with the experience in your guests, and just constantly thinking about how can we make this better for them? How can we, and be tough on yourself. How can you ensure that anything you recommend or anything that they do in terms of programming or activities is something that they've never experienced before, or adds tremendous value to them, to where they're wow, this was awesome. I learned something new. Did they learn how to make French press coffee for the first time? Did they experience a heated toilet seat and a bidet for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's
Do
so
you
many.
have bidets?
Yeah,
Okay,
totally.
yeah.
I mean, it's a tree house with like heated marble floors.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
We still get the question like, you have indoor plumbing? We're like, yeah.
We're doing it. Yeah.
We'll get you covered.
Well, yeah, and for anyone that hasn't seen the property, go Google it right now and go look at what we're talking about. It's not your average treehouse. Like you need to know how incredible these properties are, or these things are. So it's a house.
Yeah. These are like mini mansions.
Yeah, mini mansions in the
It's a
trees.
tree house.
Yeah.
Well, and to echo what Seth is saying, for people who are saying, I'm busy, I don't have time to do it. It's like, you don't have time not to do that. You could spend a lot of time nailing the experience, and then you're going to get a lot of time back because those people are going to come back. They're going to tell their friends. If you don't do that, if you skimp on the experience, you're going to spend way more time trying to constantly find new customers. And that's just a losing game.
Yeah, the rebooked customers, thank you for bringing that up, because they're your most valuable customers. They will pay higher rates than they paid originally. They will give you the least amount of fuss. They'll be return guests over and over and over again as long as you continually show up and deliver on the value that you've promised. And then with spending the time on these little details, this is true in other businesses too, right? A lot of people say, I don't have time to train people, or I don't have time to write down the process, or I don't have time to document it. I'm just going to do it myself, right? But if you spend that little bit of time up front, that translates to an experience for every single one of your guests moving forward, right? So it's like, spend the time up front, figure it out. And then I think maybe you can attest to this, but hiring the right people on your team is really paramount. A lot of times who's available? Who can I get? Who can clean? Who can do this, right? Who's going to show up? But really it's about hiring the best people. And so you guys have kind of built this as you've gone on, right? You've kind of scaled up. And so what's the newest development that you have, or the newest section of the farm?
Yeah, we just built a wellness haven. And so first of all, we're a cliffside mountaintop property, which means like you are perched up above the world, literally above the clouds. And there's a view of 3 states. And so in this area, it was really fun to create. It was this part of the property where it didn't really lend itself to a house, but I was like, it's so cool. There's so many, rock faces and interesting things. Even when I first walked the property before we owned it, I was like, this is going to be something great. I'm not exactly sure what it is yet, but each time I would walk it, I'd get a clearer picture of what it was going to be. And now it's multiple hot spring pools, and a mirrored sauna, and a steam room with a locker room. All this has a view of 3 states.
Cold plunge.
Artwork, cold plunge, a rooftop yoga deck. So imagine doing yoga on top of the world, basically above the clouds with that view. 2 additional treatment rooms for the spa, because we launched a treehouse spa last year and it just sold out immediately. Like, everyone wants to do it. I mean, the magic of our place is a place you can go and just stay and be. And the guests who take the most away from it don't busy themselves with like, okay, well, let's, we're close, we're 45 minutes from Chattanooga, let's go there and whatever. It's like, no, just stay, just relax and, enjoy all that we've prepared. And to your earlier question, on like, how are we accomplishing this 100% direct booking rate and everything else? I think, there's a lot of value in curating an entire experience. Like, we live in an age where like information is abundant and free, and time is precious. And so, our mission is to make it incredibly simple and easy for people to book an entire vacation in less than 60 seconds. Because the stress everyone feels when they're booking a vacation is like, am I doing the right things? Am I making the right choices? There's food, there's spa, there's like which accommodation, there's all these decisions you have to make, and you don't know, you've never been there. So I was like, how can we just make all that incredibly easy to where literally we present them with a package and they're like, yeah, the like expert design curated by Seth and Tori Bolt. Yeah. Like, this is what we do. This is what we recommend. Great. And they see the 2,000 plus 5-star reviews. They're like, done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make it that easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people need to know that the 2,000 5-star reviews, people don't even need to think about if they're going to book or not, right? Oh, does it have this? Does it have this? It doesn't matter. Like, you see it, you see, that's how people book nowadays, right? People with money, people that don't have a ton of time, that's how they book, right? We just booked a trip to Mexico City, and I looked up best boutique hotels, I found the Michelin guide and I was like, okay, here's 4. They have rooms available. We're doing it. Like I don't necessarily have enough time to really do the deep diving research that maybe I used to in my younger days, right? And try to save every penny that I could on a vacation, right? I think nowadays, but that's why you need to deliver like you guys are doing on the experience. So if they go and you didn't deliver, that's a bad thing. And the 5-star reviews aren't going to show up. So,
which is a great point. Like time, money, energy, like these 3 things change throughout your life. When you're young, you've got tons of time, tons of energy, no money.
Yep.
You know, when you're in the middle part of your life, you have money, you have energy, you have no time. And later in life, you've got, you know, money and you're light on the other side. So, I mean, really like we're serving that section in the middle.
That's right.
Where like they don't have time. And I think that's where we can add so much value in multiple ways. Like with Bolt Farm, you know, by making it incredibly easy for them to have a more connected relationship, all they have to do is show up.
Yeah. I love that. I can tell you guys are just such a core value couple, right? And so how important has it been in your relationship to like stay connected and stick to your core values?
Incredibly. If we're not tight, if we're not whole, then how could we possibly lead a team of people, now a team of 50, to do this? And so it really starts with the individual. You know, healthy business starts with a healthy business owner. And for us as a couple who works together, we have to have a strong relationship. And so we practice what we preach. We check ourselves into Bolt Farm, you know, for that quarterly relationship, you know, just reset. It's so important, especially when you're pouring out. You can't do that from an empty cup. So that's incredibly important to us.
Yeah, we call them quarterly clarity retreats.
Yeah,
We just started doing them, and we used to do them at our properties, and then it was like, I'm just looking at all the things that need to be done. So I'm like, we got to go somewhere else and do it. Yeah, we got to do it somewhere else.
So like on that point, I mean, that was an intention for us to get away. You know, like, hey, you know, new year, let's make sure that we don't do like last year and just like run ourselves into the ground. Like we've got to refill our cup. So we need to get away on a quarterly basis. But that intention became a pain point without a plan. Mm-hmm. Like we had where are we going to go? Well, you know, unless you know, or unless you just really like doing lots of research on where to go, then you probably do like most Americans and you don't go anywhere until the time between Christmas and New Year's. And you're like, okay, we got it. You know, we're finally going to do it, take our week or two and go somewhere. So we're like, well, okay, well, cool. Let's solve that pain point for ourselves and for everyone else and create a place that's so magical and compelling, you know, Disney for adults, that like, you know, we can be that place that you can go and know that like you're gonna get back home from this vacation actually feeling recharged and not feeling like you need another vacation. And through all the different things that we've created and curated, we're gonna make it really easy for you to, you know, laugh together, learn together, and elevate your love.
Yeah, because you said something. You believe love is our superpower, and so. What happens when things get rough? What happens when things get hard? How do you guys cope with that?
We do hard things every day. Yeah. Like, it's true. Just the other day, I was like, wow, like, you know, what I'm dealing with right now would have wrecked me or would have been the conversation topic for several weeks, you know, years ago. And now it's just one of 10 things I got to do today. So like you get stronger. And I think that's also part of what we love about business and running one. It's not just about it absolutely is about the impact for others, but it's also about who you become in the process and that growth. We're such a growth-minded company. We're a growth-minded couple. One of our mantras for our business is let's get 1% better every day. And so we just solve hard things. I'm not going to pretend like it's all sunshine and rainbows because we have to have difficult conversations with each other too. But I think just committing to that radical honesty, knowing that we're on the same team, and, you know, there's a verse that says, don't let the sun go down in your anger. Don't go to bed angry. And so we live by that. And I've been awake for 8 years. Oh. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I think being really good to each other is a key thing for any couples that work together, you know, because like, will there be situations where you're absolutely pissed off at one another, or you're just not seeing eye to eye, or you just want to win the argument or whatever? Like the discipline it takes to hold your tongue in those moments is worth its weight in gold, because like once you've said that thing, you just can't take it back. And,
You're really good at that. Sometimes we'll be having a heated conversation. He just gets quiet. And I'm like, I know he's mad, and I also appreciate this. I'm going to go take a walk and give him some space.
She's like, please say something. And I'm like, I don't know what to say right now.
Okay.
I'm going to talk.
Yeah.
I need a minute to think.
Yeah. I try to remember, because my wife and I have been doing this for 6 years together, and we've had some moments. We've had lots of moments, right? But we've also had lots of compassionate, empathetic together moments. And I really try to remember the compassion and empathy that she's shown me in those moments, because I gotta hold my tongue too, right? And we're trying to accomplish something really big, and why don't you understand what I'm doing? But we all have days, and we're all trying to do something. I think what's really resonating from both of you right now is that you are value driven, you take time for yourselves, and you went all in on the thing. I think something that everyone makes the mistake of is splitting their time amongst too many things, and the relationship gets lost a little bit, and then they can't create something truly spectacular. I just released an episode this morning called Stepping Into Your Superpower. And I would say that you both have stepped into your superpower of what you're doing right now, of what you're creating. Like, you can feel it, you can resonate it with it. And I think when people do that, the difficult times become less difficult, right? You're not suffering when you're working on something that you're truly passionate about. If you don't love it, it's going to be really hard. Like, you're going to suffer, right? If you were doing this for a corporate job, right? Or you were still working in the news, those hard moments might be a little harder. And so let me ask you, because you were in journalism, right? I don't know exactly what you did actually, but you were in news in Houston, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you decided one day, I'm going to go all in. What was that like?
That was quite a process, because I was working in local news. I was producing the early morning newscast, and then I was also an entertainment reporter. That's actually how I met Seth. I interviewed his band before a show.
Okay.
Yeah, so our first meeting was on
camera.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So sweet cute. And also cringy. No, to look back at yourself like a decade ago and be like, wow. But yeah, my parents are a retired firefighter and teacher, so no entrepreneurs that I got to see model this. And so all I had to go off of was what he told me. And I remember Seth being like, entrepreneurship is great, because both of his parents are. And he already was in many ways,
That's great.
He's like, there's no ceiling, there's no limit on your growth. You don't have to work for the man, all this stuff. I'm like,
there's no limit on the problems you're going to have to solve on a daily basis.
Everything's on your shoulders.
Missed that one, So I'm like, okay, like I feel like I always had that spirit, the entrepreneurial spirit. And I'm like, this is my first chance to get to flex that. And our first development, the treehouse for our honeymoon, couldn't have gone better. It's beautiful. BuzzFeed's writing about it. People are happy. 6-month wait list. So we're like, okay, next step. So then we took all of our savings, sold our house, bought some land in Charleston to do it again. 35 acres. And the plan was to build 4 tree houses in phase 1 of development. And that couldn't have gone worse. It was absolutely the most challenging thing I've ever walked through. I'm grateful for it, because looking back, it was our boot camp, and we were able to make really painful mistakes at a smaller level, not at scale, thankfully, but very long story short, like 2 years of a story short, we built these 4 tree houses. It took everything we could to get it finished. And then they changed the laws in the area that we were at, and had anti-Airbnb laws, and shut down our business. Yeah. So instead of hosting our first guests, we had to fight for our business to survive for over a year, and ultimately we were unsuccessful. So how's that for a welcome to entrepreneurship?
You've heard of NIMBYs, right? Not in my backyard.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out on the west.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, if you've seen those images of like all the gray-headed people in the
city council
meeting,
yeah.
like
we
on the news,
that.
like that was us.
We lived that.
Yeah.
It's 2
and
dumb
you're the
kids.
young punks up front.
Yeah.
This band member, this newscaster, just trying to come into our neighborhood.
They're literally raising canes, being like, no compromise. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, people don't realize what we have to go through, like to do this. And you were in an area where you thought there's no problem. Like,
who hates tree houses?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, apparently.
So the land wasn't zoned then for it, was it?
So they didn't have any Airbnb regulations.
Yeah,
and then
so
they
it didn't
adopted
matter when we
them.
bought the property, but then the laws that they passed, and I mean, and they even like this kind of thing, like this is stuff you could not predict would happen. But like the rich people that lived in that area who were like buddies with the government officials wrote legislation that specifically targeted our property, and they passed a law. And I looked and I was like, this only applies to our property.
Yeah.
Like I can clearly see what y'all are doing here.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And you're just trying to do something. This is why, like, the hate that all the Airbnb owners got, I just don't understand it, because we have just been trying to get out of the trap. Like, we're just trying to do something good. And granted, there's a lot of like bad actors. There's a lot of people that are just trying to make a quick buck, but you guys are trying to create something really special. And you're literally trying to bring people to the area, to enjoy the area, to create the experience, and to like benefit the economy and all of that. And there's just been so much misdirected hate for people that are trying to do this, especially just trying to create something and get out of the trap. Like, a lot of Airbnb owners, a lot of people are just, they've been working their W-2 jobs. They want to make a little extra money so that they can go live the life that they want to live. And for some reason, instead of hating or targeting their hate at the people that are truly causing the issues, that are greater than us, not greater than us, but at a higher level than us, it's easy to just point fingers at your neighbors and the people that are trying to do something for themselves, and try to pull them down. It's the crab in the bucket analogy. I don't know if you've heard that. Yeah. One crab tries to get out of the bucket and the rest of them pull them down. Yeah. So that's incredible. So how did you recover from that? Because this is your first time doing anything entrepreneurial. Like, did you quit your job too?
I did. Oh, yeah.
Quit your job, full-time working on the tree houses. You didn't even get to host anybody. Did you?
We did.
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay. A little bit. You got to host some people. Did it do well?
I mean, during that short time, that's when Netflix found us and wanted to put us on the world's most amazing vacation rentals. So it was incredibly successful. And that made it even more painful to see like what it could be and how people were responding, and then to like be handcuffed and not get to do anything about it.
Yeah.
There was actually a point where our calendars were full for months. And then we were told we can't host them. And so we were looking at each other, and I'm like, we're hosting honeymoons, anniversaries. Like, we can't cancel on these people. They booked flights to be here. And so we just made the very difficult decision to host them anyway and not charge them. So for about a week, I was calling all of our guests on the books and saying, "Hi, this is Tori Bolt with Bolt Farm Treehouse. I'm refunding all your money because we cannot legally take your money and host you. But instead of canceling your stay, we want you to come anyways."
Wow.
And we let them come for free.
Wow.
And that was a huge part of building that brand trust. You know, back to how did you get away from the OTAs? I mean, when you get a call from a business owner saying, "I'm giving all your money back, but come anyways because I want you to have this amazing experience," like, you're going to go back.
I'm like in chills just, because like nobody makes that decision.
Right.
Like, who makes that decision? And so what did you do with the property?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this, it is very hard to sell a commercial property that has no commercial value.
Exactly. That's what I'm sitting here. It's worth the land.
Yeah. So we tried, we tried to package it different ways. Ultimately, we had to continue, we had to basically empty our bank account by sending all the money back out and refunding everyone. But we still had bills to pay. We still had a staff. This was late 2019. So like we had no idea even what was coming in 2020.
No, yeah.
So I'd say the one smart pivot we made was that all we were legally allowed to do was rent for like 31 days at a time. Mm-hmm. So when the world shut down and like you couldn't travel abroad, all the people that had international honeymoons had nowhere to go. So that was a quick pivot where we were like, hey, come and stay here. You can honeymoon for a week, 2 weeks,
31 days.
We'll host you for 30. We'll host you for a month for the cost of a week.
Exactly.
But basically, like, be free, be outdoors. Have just concentrated time for you in this time of chaos in the world, and that we were able to kind of break even with that. And then and people were like, they were trying to encourage us, being like, hey, you're onto something. You got product market fit. People love this. Like, just go build it somewhere else. And that concept was just so incredibly daunting because of the years of blood, sweat, and tears, and the fact that we had invested all of our money. We had everything tied up into this one property and a lot of debt to pay on a regular basis. So I was like, what do you mean just do it again or just start over? But the truth is the testimonials we got from our guests and like the life that we were given from our guests who stayed, the encouragement from the people that we allowed to stay for free, gave us the fuel to and the courage to do that and to start over. So we found a mountaintop property where we are now in Tennessee in 2020, and that was like middle of the year. And we made no money in 2020. So, and partly the world was, you couldn't travel. And I'm like, man, people are looking for places to go to reconnect, to do this social distancing. They need to be at an outdoor type property. So I think we are the antidote for this, and we can be a solution to people. And I was like, just think about how hungry people are to just like reconnect. So, we set a goal to build this property at breakneck speed. And we knew, okay, we're approaching Thanksgiving, Christmas. This is like holiday season. This might be the one time that people actually spend money. And we need to capitalize on this. So we set a goal. We're like, if we could somehow pre-sell reservations and make $500,000, very lofty when like you have nothing really to sell. Cause like at this point we haven't bought the property yet. That's right. We've got it under contract, but we have nothing built. So we literally, I think I spent like $500 and hired a graphic artist on Fiverr to create some renderings of what we wanted. Yep. And we had a cell phone and, and we were living on the property first in a camping tent.
This is what it takes.
I know.
This is what it takes.
Yeah.
This is what it takes.
I mean, and also like, when we weren't on the property in the camping tent, we were living with her parents. So like humble pie, like I'm like living with my mother-in-law to make sure that the business doesn't die. And, we graduated to this old RV from like the 90s, and literally we're like just in there building a website.
Yep.
And then walking outside and holding our phone up being like, look at where we are. This is where we're going to build next. Amazing. And like, look at this rendering. This is what we're going to build. Yeah. Like, do you want a reservation?
Yeah.
And we sold $1 million in reservations.
Wow.
Before we bought the property, which I know is like kind of,
before you bought the property.
Yeah.
Before you bought it.
And the thing is, like where we were stuck, like, there was all kind of complications with developing a mountaintop property because you're on bedrock. So it's like you can't dig down and do the utilities like you normally would. Yeah. All these complicating factors on the development side. And then also, good luck getting a bank to believe in you when it's like, okay, so let's look at, what have you done so far? It's like, well, first thing went great. Second thing failed. Don't know what we're going to do with that.
Yeah.
Got this, but we need $2 million.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is a testament to being creative, having faith in yourself, like building trust throughout your life and following through on your commitments. So like you returning the money, but still hosting people, they're going to be more willing to want to invest with you. And you did it in a really smart way. I want people to understand what you did versus normal syndication deals or real estate funds or whatever. You basically said, we need some money. We need to go buy this land. We need to go spend money on architects or plans and permits and engineering and materials to go get this thing started. Instead of going and raising money and giving away equity, we are pre-booking the stays and pre-selling rooms for land that isn't even bought yet, for structures that aren't even thought of yet, right? There's a thought of a structure. There's a thought of a room. There's a thought of a bed. And you sold $1 million worth of reservations, worth of bookings in advance. So then you can go take that cash and then you can go build it.
That's not the optimal prescription, but we were like fighting our way out of a corner. You know what I mean? We were like literally, we sold our way out of the pain and the sticky situation that we were in. And I mean, even from being a kid and, reading books about real estate, other people's money, like if you can build things with other people's money, that's the best way to do it. So, that's what we do. And we find the cheapest money we can get and do that. So for us, that's been, local banks or regional banks. I think we paid like 4.25% for our first one. And,
and wouldn't you say the $1 million in reservations that we got during that time, it wasn't to use for construction, but it was to get confidence from the bank and basically show them like, we're serious and people do want this. And that really took them over to the edge and was like, okay, let's expedite this. We can do this. And we closed on the loan very quickly.
So the nitty gritty was like, the only way we could get a bank to believe in this or like take the risk was to lower the risk by doing an SBA loan, because now the government's going to pay for like half of it, reduces the bank's risk down to probably 35% or something like that. So very safe for the bank.
Yep.
And yet it's a long, complicated process, and it's like, make sure you got time and get that ball rolling.
6 months at least. Yeah, lots of weird surprises.
So, and that's why we still didn't own the land, because like we were trying to get the funding and the financing done, and they said, oh, we should have it in about 3 months, and that became 4 and 5 and 6, and it was the first time this local bank had ever done an SBA deal, so they were kind of weary of it. But the game changer was when they started seeing large amounts of money stack up very quickly in the accounts we had created. And I'll never forget the phone call I got from the bank, because he was like, hey, there is a lot of money being deposited into your account, and I know you guys don't own the land yet, so I'm just checking in. Like, are y'all selling drugs or guns or like what's going on here? Like, I was like, Sid, I'm doing exactly what we told you we were going to do. I was like, this is what the world wants, and we've got great guests and fans and followers of our brand, and this is going to be a hit, and this is proof of that. And the bank ended up doing the entire deal. Wow. And just said, well, let's just take the SBA out of it and let's get started.
Yeah. See, this is what I tell people about real estate. It's not a money business. It's a people business. And you going all in on yourself and you showing up and saying, this is who we are. This is the trust that we built. Yes, we showed up with money in the account, but that's you showing who you are, and then the bank having confidence in who you are. People that don't have confidence in themselves, that haven't built trust, that haven't done the work, they can't do that, right? They can't do it the first time. Maybe they can do it later, but then you can get confidence. Then people want to work with you. Then you're attracting this into your life because you said, this is what I'm going to go do. And so do you think, had you have had the experience with the tree houses, and it was in South Carolina, right? Mm-hmm. Would this have turned out the same way? Would you have done the same thing? Or because your back was to the corner with this, that made your mind create this way out? Would you have gone and done something else? Would you have stuck in South Carolina? Would you have built something else? Or like, have you thought about that? Like, what would have happened had that not?
It's an interesting question. And I think success is a poor teacher. Yeah. So like, having been successful, we probably would have taken a much bigger swing, and we could have possibly then like had a loss so big we couldn't have recovered from it. So I'm glad that we learned so much so early on. I mean, as brutal as it was, because then it informed us. It taught us, how to do it right the next time, and how to make sure that you don't have that missing link in your armor, because that can be all it takes. And for us, that's all it was. Like, we had everything else dialed, but we just didn't know what we didn't know because we were first time developers. In our minds, we're like, we didn't even consider ourselves developers. We're just like, we have a dream and we want to make this possible. It was all about people. It wasn't really about, some commercial enterprise. So, I don't know. If you go to Vegas the first time and you win big, the next time you go back, look out.
Yeah. All you have to do is this, guys. Yeah. You just put it on black. And that's all you have to do.
I'm bringing all my money next time.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what happens though. Is like, success is, what was the term you said?
Success is a poor teacher.
Success is a poor teacher. Yeah. That's a really good way of putting it. Well, this has been really incredible. I want to ask just at the end here, you guys, you have kids, right?
One, yeah.
One kid. I think I heard that the world found out that you were pregnant before you did, or it was announced early.
Well, People Magazine shared it, yeah. Okay. We knew that we were pregnant.
Okay, all right, yeah. We were aware. But you weren't ready, right?
It was, yeah.
Okay. And what was that like?
Which part?
Them announcing your pregnancy. Or was this planned?
Well, we planned it. Okay, we did.
Right.
Like, it was exciting. People Magazine had featured Bolt Farm before, and they were like, we want to, we want to break the news about you starting a family. And so part of us was just like, really? They care? That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're people.
We're people.
Yeah, we're people. Yeah, okay.
But we're like, amazing. So it was positive.
How important is it for you to like leave a legacy for your children, your family, and is that a factor in what you do?
Huge factor. It's all about leaving a legacy. And something we talk about is, do we sell the business one day? Do we not? That's something that we were talking about earlier. And it's something that we want to keep as a legacy for our family. We want to build a business so well that it could be sold and that people would want to buy it. You build a business with that in mind, but we want to keep it for generations for our kids and just all the lessons that they can learn through it.
Yeah, I mean, because we're vertically integrated and we do everything from, finding the real estate, the fundraising, the construction, the sales, the marketing, the operations, the spa, the food and beverage, on and on and on. Like, think about all the places that our kids can plug into.
That's right.
Like, regardless of what they want to do, what they're interested in, like they can learn all those things. And if they want to stick with one of those, great. Or if they want to just use that as a springboard, that's awesome too.
What if they just want to go be in a band?
I mean, I tell them, say, know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
It's a hard life. But I mean, I use that line for the bankers because, I mean, it is extremely hard to make it in the music industry, much less to sustain a career for 24 years.
That's right.
And so to be able to say, that, I mean, to do that and to be in a band that's like still growing, it's, I'm like, you're betting on a winning horse.
That's
like,
right.
Like, this guy doesn't give up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like hell or high water, like I'm going to get my goal.
Yeah.
I will not be denied.
How much of that is a motivator for you when you can tell people don't believe in you or like wanting to come back and not shove it in their face, but like be like, look, I did it.
Yeah.
Is that a motivator?
I mean, I think it has been. Yeah. Sometimes having a chip on your shoulder or a common enemy but for me, it's not really about something to prove. I mean, I'll tell, there are people who visit Bolt Farm Treehouse who, they also have supported my music. And sometimes they find the two things organically, independently, and don't put it together that I'm a part of Need to Breathe and Bolt Farm Treehouse until they get there.
That's exciting.
They see the Need to Breathe record inside the treehouse. They're like, that's the owner. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and, I tell them, thank you for helping me prove my high school guidance counselor wrong twice. Because from early on, I just knew I, wanted to like really put a dent in the universe and do something big. So I think I'm more motivated by impact that is going to, live beyond me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely feel that from both of you. So really big thank you for showing up today. Where do you want people to get a hold of you? Oh yeah, before we leave, you are teaching people how to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you are hosting these workshops at your farm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So we've been in this business for 10 years and you got a little bit of a sample of, kind of our journey. But the first 6 years were really slow going. We were wandering in the desert, crashing into walls, making all the mistakes. And it wasn't until we really started investing in mentors and coaches and mastermind groups that we got to really compress time to learn from others, being able to ask one person a question to avoid the thousands of dollars and months that it would have taken us to figure it out ourselves. And so when we look back at the last 10 years, the majority of our growth has been in the last 3, 4. And so we want to be that for others. And so we host these workshops for people who have a short-term rental business that they want to grow or people who are thinking about getting into the game. And we give you a boot camp on all the things, everything that Seth just mentioned, from construction to fundraising to marketing and operations, building your team. We cover that. We keep it really intimate because we have it at Bolt Farm, tons of interactive Q&As, but it's great. We get to really go deep with them, get into the weeds of their business, help them learn where they need to focus. And they get to stay at Bolt Farm, be a guest, see behind the curtain. I mean, we take them through our ops building and the laundry and the new construction site. So it's really cool because a lot of people are curious of that too.
Yeah.
So it's very intimate. We do them like once a quarter.
When's the next one?
May. I need to look at the calendar.
It's in May.
May.
It's in May.
It's 5th through 7th or 7th through 9th, but early May, we're going to do our next one.
Okay, good.
So yeah, really, we want to help people compress time. Like we were talking about earlier, when you're young, you've got time, but you don't have money. And for people who are, in this season of their life, are like, I really want to, get financial freedom for myself. I want to invest in real estate. Like, you may have money, but not time. And the thing is, you can do like we did, and it can take you 10 years to get where we've gotten, or we can compress that and give you years of your life back and save you from the scars that we've got on our backs from all the things that we did the wrong way. And so for us, just as an example, like in 3.5 years, we took a $250,000 investment and turned that into a $32 million valuation.
Woo.
And, you know, I wish when I look at the timeline of like our revenue, you know, and it's like slow growth and everything, like there's this dramatic curve, and we attribute that to like learning and getting better and learning from other people. So, yeah, our thing is like we've discovered a lot, and we want to multiply the impact, like being purpose driven. So I think for years, and I'll be very honest with you here, like we were just like, let's not share our secret sauce because it's ours, and we want to have that as our competitive advantage. And we did that. But now we've built the brand, and you know, I think we could literally just give all this knowledge to people that want to learn it, and they can do that too. And what's the net result? Like, I think the world gets better. That's because right. Like more people can have experiences at properties around the world like they're having at ours, that does something for them other than just like give them a pillow to lay their head on. And that's also success defined for us. Like, are we going to continue to grow? Are we going to continue to build more properties and everything? Yes. And truthfully, like we have tons of growth in mind and want to grow through acquisition, possibly even some joint ventures. So selfishly, this is a way that we can bring people to us to where they're like showing us their business, and the ones that we think are amazing are the ones that we're going to invest in.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. My business coach is Dan Martell. And
oh, awesome. Yeah, I know Dan.
Yeah. And he talks about sharing yourself with the world and giving everything away, give your best stuff away for free. And I've really embodied that. And one of the things I also embodied that I witnessed firsthand with Dan, and when I learned it, is you need to do what your coaches tell you. So like, if you don't do what your coaches tell you, then you're not going to learn. You're not going to grow. You're not like, they've done it. You've earned the scars. You've earned the stripes. They are telling you this for a reason. Just go do what they tell you and ask questions and follow up and all that. But don't go try to do all this different stuff and make excuses and avoid the work and all that. But Dan's been instrumental in my life and why I'm sitting here talking to you today. And selfishly, why I'm doing the podcast, so I can meet people like you and learn from you and be like, oh, that's a good strategy. And, you know, maybe there's a joint venture deal in the future, or like I can learn. And, you know, I would love to go to the quarterly retreat in May. So maybe you'll see me there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been really special. So thank you both for being here.
Yeah.
I think people need to hear what you're saying. I love what you're doing for people, for yourselves. Everyone go check them out. Where do you want them to go get in touch with you? Instagram.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, they can see our website, boltfarmtreehouse.com, Instagram, Bolt Farm Treehouse. If you're an X lover like this guy, he calls it TikTok for nerds.
Yeah.
A lot of business owners are on X. We're Bolt Farm.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And I love that you guys are kind of embracing who you are authentically. You know real estate, you know finance, you know development, you know who you are, but you're not just some folks in a suit, you know, or standing up on a stage telling us what to do, even though you're about to get on stage and give some really good advice. But you know what I mean?
He only owns one suit. It was from our wedding day.
It's wild. What a wild time to be alive. Like, think about how many people are like coaching and teaching people how to do stuff, and like they've only done it for like a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For us, like, and honestly, from mastermind groups we're in, they were like, you guys have done this for 10 years. And when you look at all the stats, 100% direct customer bookings, all that stuff, they're like, you have done what everyone else is trying to do. Why are you not teaching people how to do that?
Yes. Yeah. And Dan would say it's selfish to not share it with the world. Mm-hmm. It's selfish because we really want the world to be better. And if you look at people like Chip and Joe, who they were kind of the OG, you know, in this, that were out in public, have their lives become better? Have they become more abundant from sharing everything that they know? And, you know, they did it through TV and all that, but you know, they became the authority on what they were doing. And I think you guys are on that same path for yourselves too. So thank you again so much. And as always, everybody, love you, appreciate you. This has been For Your Own Good.